park for Whitby, we can ask for it to stop at Lake Ridge Road. If it stops at Lake Ridge Road, then Oshawa doesn't get the economic benefit of having the 407. And Whitby ends up with everything happening there. We'll still have to build roads. There's still traffic that will come further east. We'll still have to build the roads in Oshawa. We're not going to end up with that volume of traffic just stopping at Whitby because that's where the end of the 407 is. It'll just mean that there's more local roads, more expense to the region of Durham. So I can't see advocating stopping at Lake Ridge Road. It must go to Curtis. If many of you have probably traveled in the States, and there's all kinds of ring roads around large municipalities. That's how you end up with making sure that the interstate highways, or in our case the 400 series, ends up facilitating traffic to move it around. We have to go to at least the Curtis Link to be able to create a ring road around the major development that we have. Lake Ridge simply is the solution. We're just going to have greater expense to the region of Durham to stop at Lake Ridge. And economic potential for us in terms of what we can do as Oshawa is huge with the 407. But I have to say I agree. I would like to see the 407 be the north limit, though, of whatever we do in terms of expansion. We can't develop north of that. Hamlets like Columbus, they're going to turn into a Brooklyn, which is a planning disaster. Whitby certainly never wanted that. That was thrown on them by the OMB when the developers went to that. So I want to see us be able to protect Columbus.
Actually, the 407 stopping at Simcoe Street was first explained in a news release by the MPP in Peterborough. That's how we found out. The province didn't even care enough to tell the region of Durham what was going on. And this isn't about the 407. This is about the Toronto bypass. This is about moving the goods and people off the 401 and around the top of Toronto. What it means in the region, it means 10% per year on your taxes for 6 years. They don't know how much farther after that. And the city of Oshawa really can't afford it because our rural roads were never designed for this kind of traffic. As for Road 128, I opposed Road 128 at the region because once they stopped the 407 at Simcoe Street, all their calculations for housing and jobs don't work. The plan fell apart. And that's the stand I took at the region, and that's the argument that I made. This is about moving people and goods and finishing the job. If they're going to stop the road, stop it where there's a link. There happens to be a link in Bowmanville. You saw how long it took them to build the ramp at Stevenson Road.
Yes, I believe the 407 should be built all the way through. And no, for the next 20 years, we should stop the growth above 407. The reason why it is, we are the #2 for agriculture. Why would we start destroying crops for a highway when we have more than enough room to grow below? Second thing, I do not like Road 128. And the province doesn't either, and they probably will kick it back. But hamlets like Columbus, we can tear them apart. We can make them another little island. I think we should build a little green spot around them and make a new park. I think these hamlets are very unique. And if we build houses right up to them, guess what? They're not hamlets, they're not unique, they're just another neighborhood we raise taxes for. Let's start improving our new communities, which is Columbus. Let's start planning ahead with the university. Let's start planning ahead with Columbus. These are our new communities. And if we don't treat them right, even our neighbors are going to look at us going, why should we work with Oshawa? But the region must get up and start working with the province and forcing them to deal with us. No more asking. We must be in Queen's Park every day, rattling the door going, we want this 407 through, and that is the only question we want to hear. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe that a hold should be put on any further expansion of the 407 until either it goes to Curtis Road or to the 115. I'm not concerned about industrial development along the 407 here in Oshawa. As I pointed out, we're not competitive in attracting industry here in Oshawa. But what I would be concerned about, I'd be concerned about encroaching on Columbus with residential development. We have a tremendous expansion northward in residential development. We have the lowest price housing in GTA, partly because of the highest taxes we have here on one hand, and the lowest development charges on the other hand, which means that existing homeowners are having to partly subsidize some of this new development in Oshawa. I believe that we should protect the hamlets, that we shouldn't let the same thing happen to Columbus as happened to Brooklyn. You know, we need to zone a green belt around not just Columbus, but many of the important and historic hamlets in the region to preserve a way of life that's been there for more than 100 years. Thank you so much.
First of all, I would like to see Columbus protected. I think it defines our rural landscape, and it's certainly an important hamlet. So I would oppose development, especially industrial development, north of the 407. Our federal partners have leverage here, far more leverage than the municipality of Oshawa and the regional municipality of Durham. Jim Flaherty in Columbus indicated that he had tied a number of infrastructure programs in Toronto through to the 407 going through to 35-115. So there's a provincial election in 1 year from now, and who knows what's going to happen in that election. But I think it's imperative that the region of Durham and the city of Oshawa, I want to see it go through to Curtis Road, because we will lose out on economic development. And I can't believe the province of Ontario, with Oshawa being in a transitional period, is putting us in a position with our plans around high-tech firms budding up around the university in jeopardy. I cannot believe that they would put this in jeopardy. So this is a battle that we must win. We must be united to win. And we have to think very, very carefully and have our strategy together. We have to be willing to work with our federal partner on this. Thank you.